Her name was Kara. She was always quiet. She dared us to break into the old textile factory. We thought it'd just be a dumb story we'd laugh about later. But by morning, only 2 of us made it out, and Kara wasn't one of them. It started after school on a Friday. I was with Jess and Dev, 2 people I've known since middle school. Kara had transferred in a few months earlier. We were sitting outside the gas station near campus, killing time like usual, when Kara said it out of nowhere. "You guys ever snuck into the old Lennox factory?" We laughed. That place had been abandoned since the early 2000s. Everyone in town had some ridiculous story about it. But Kara didn't laugh. I mean, really stay the night. Inside, no phones, no lights, just you and the factory until sunrise. I remember Jess rolled her eyes. Dev said something about bringing weed and snacks. But I noticed something Kara said that no one else did. She didn't say, "We stay." She said, "You stay." That night, we met just before 10 p.m. Kara brought bolt cutters and a flashlight that barely worked. Jess brought a bag of junk food. Dev brought his Bluetooth speaker, which we later realized didn't matter since we'd agreed. No phones, no outside contact. When we stepped inside, it was like the building swallowed sound. The air was thick with dust, machinery half covered in tarp, stacks of rotted pallets. Like everything in that place had been frozen and forgotten. We made it to the 2nd floor, some kind of old break room, and settled in. I remember Dev whispering, "Do you guys hear that?" The sound was coming from somewhere deep in the building. We shined the flashlight. Nothing. But Kara was already looking at the far hallway. "There's something in the dye room," she said. She said it calmly, like she'd been there before. I asked how she knew that, but she didn't answer. Jess and I exchanged a look. That's when Dev noticed the writing on the wall. It was faint, scraped in with something sharp. Kara, 4 stayed, 3 left. "What the hell is this?" Jess asked. Kara walked up to it and just stared. Then she scratched her own name out with a broken tile. We all kind of froze. "Why'd you do that?" Kara turned around slowly and said, "Because I'm not supposed to be here yet." We decided we needed to leave, but when we turned to go back down the stairs, they weren't there. I don't mean we got lost, I mean, the staircase was gone. We had come up just an hour earlier. Now it was a blank wall, sealed with rusted steel plates like it had been closed off for decades. Jess freaked out. Dev kicked the wall. Kara just stood there, quiet. Then, we heard something moving below us, slow, dragging, like chains on concrete, and Kara whispered, "It found us." We ran. Every hallway twisted. Every doorway led to the wrong room. It was like the factory wanted to keep us inside. Jess grabbed my hand and screamed Kara's name. But when we turned around, she was gone. No sound, no footsteps, just gone. Only the flashlight still rolling on the floor. We finally made it to a back office with a broken window. Dev and I pulled Jess through. We ran into the woods until sunrise. When we finally came back that afternoon with the cops, we told them everything. They searched the building for hours. No one was found. But here's the part that broke my brain. That wall, the one with the names, it was still there. But now it only said 3 stayed, 2 left. Kara's name wasn't scratched out. It wasn't there at all. And when they asked us who we were with, they told us there was no student at our school named Kara. Not that year, not the year before. No enrollment records, no photos, as if she'd never existed at all. I've thought about it 100 times. Was she some kind of ghost? A trap the building used to bring people in? Or was Kara something worse? Because every few months, someone else disappears near that factory, and sometimes, when I walk past the edge of the woods, I see a girl in a school uniform standing just beyond the fence, smiling. This happened to me and my cousin when I was 17. We were visiting family in rural Pennsylvania, real middle-of-nowhere type place. My uncle lived near this old, run-down equestrian center that had been shut down since the early 2000s. Locals said it used to be a big deal, horse shows, summer camps, even a boarding program. But something happened, and the place got shut down practically overnight. It had been abandoned ever since. Me and my cousin, AJ, were both into exploring weird, forgotten places, so we planned to sneak out one night and check it out. We didn't tell anyone, just packed some flashlights, an old camcorder, and walked down the overgrown trail behind my uncle's house until we hit the property fence. It was one of those late summer nights, humid, no wind, and so quiet it made your ears feel weird. The entrance was still chained, but the side fence had collapsed inward. We stepped over and found ourselves in what used to be a riding arena, huge, open, and completely overtaken by weeds. There were several buildings around, a tack shed, a trailer office with broken windows, and a long row of stables with corrugated metal roofs and busted-out doors. That's where we went first. We could hear the metal roof creaking with the heat, even though the sun had already gone down. My flashlight barely cut through the dust hanging in the air. It smelled like old hay, wet wood, and something faintly sour. Most of the stalls were empty, cobwebs everywhere, broken boards, flies. Then we reached the end of the row. There were 4 horses in the last stalls, still saddled, still breathing. Their sides were rising and falling. You could hear the slow snorting sound as they exhaled. AJ whispered, "What the hell?" They weren't moving, just standing completely still, heads turned toward the back wall. All of them, like they were waiting for something. I stepped closer to the first one, aiming my light at its head. And that's when I saw it. No eyes, not gouged out, not missing, just smooth skin, stretched over where the eyes should be, like they'd never been there at all. You could still see the outlines of their sockets, but it was like someone had grown skin right over them. I whispered, "AJ, do you see that?" He nodded, frozen. I could see his flashlight shaking. Then the second horse took a step forward, just one step. It didn't react to us at all. No flinch, no sound. But that motion, how slow and deliberate it was, made my stomach drop. And then the third horse moved, then the fourth, all still facing the same direction. That's when we heard something shuffle at the far end of the stable. Something big, heavy, slow, not hooves, footsteps. We both backed up fast and bolted out the front of the stables, tripping over roots and busted boards. We didn't stop until we were back at the trail, gasping for breath. AJ kept saying, "They were real, man. They were breathing." The next morning, we told my uncle. He looked at us, dead serious, and said, "That place was shut down because one of the horses killed a girl, trampled her in the arena. No one could figure out why." Then he said something that stuck with me ever since. "They were euthanized, every horse there. I remember it. I was working county back then. I signed off on the damn forms. So whatever we saw in those stalls, they weren't supposed to be there, and they definitely weren't alive."